Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Streamcast. I'm Miles Prower, and I'm joined by.
Sorry, that name is so funny to me. I'm Jill Valentine.
And I am Sparx the Dragonfly.
Excellent. And today, it's all about the people that don't get the necessary shine that they deserve. You know, the sidekicks, the deuteragonists, the partners of the main character. We are going to talk about the best number twos in gaming. Before we get too much into the podcast, I want to let you know that you can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. That is Spotify, that is Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Overcast, Sounder, and we're now on Amazon Music. So check us out wherever you can access your podcasts. Please follow us, subscribe to us, however it is you keep in contact with us on your audio platform of choice. And if we do not currently release episodes on your preferred platform, please let us know. Twitter, Instagram, streamcast underscore, or hit us in the comments, youtube.com/streamcast. And if you can, give us a rating, please. Because I know on Apple Podcasts you can rate us, so give us a good rating. It really helps us out. Please and thank you. Oh, let's get into it. So first of all, I guess we can talk about good sidekicks, and from that we can kind of divulge what you see is a good sidekick, and that's an open question anyone can answer at any time.
I think I'll start it off then. I think if you're playing the long game, I think a good sidekick is someone who doesn't stay a sidekick. Like eventually they leave the person that the sidekick off and they do their own thing. So I don't know much about this topic, but for example, the Robins, one died, yay, they sucked, but the rest of them went on to do bigger and better things. I think that makes a great sidekick, and also one that eventually becomes, I guess, let's say if there's a group, one that becomes like a key member of said group. So, for example, which one am I gonna? This part of the podcast, is it we're getting into it, or is this like the overview? Because I'm about to get into it, and I don't want to skip the overview.
It's a bit of both.
Get into it.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, fair enough. There's a guy. No, I'll use this one because it's a bit. No, which one am I gonna use?
I love how you're
Oh my god,
saving
pick
options.
one.
Fine. Okay.
It's
So many Robins.
Oh no, I'm not talking about Robins anymore. Okay, there's a guy called David Charleston in the book I've read called The Reckoners, and basically it's about everyone who's got superpowers ends up becoming evil, and he has to fight them. And he uses his know-how, his brains, his wit to do it, and he joins the team, and he doesn't know how to fight. He doesn't really well, actually, yeah, he doesn't know how to fight. So he's basically a liability at this point, but like he kind of proves himself, and then his other skills, like his other soft skills and his knowledge and his know-how, like eventually makes him a key member of the team, and eventually he starts playing out the strategies to fight the heroes. He takes out, because obviously the government's pretty corrupt as well. So he finds a way to like stop them as well, and he basically he's the main character, but so I guess he starts as the sidekick that becomes the main character. Oh, he's the main character. He starts as a sidekick in the group, even though he's the main character of the book, and then he goes on to become the main character of the team as well as being the main character of the book. But you can see his growth throughout his journeys in the team, and I guess that's what makes a good sidekick. I guess. Wow, should have really gave some bigger backstory about that, but you get the idea, you get the gist.
so that's a good example of a side character, but because they become a main character, I don't know if that like counteracts it.
Oh no, I don't think it counts at all. Actually, I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
like remove so many of my things. I have not understood the assignment.
Okay, so I'll give an example, and then hopefully that will help you.
No,
Or
no,
do
I'm,
you have an example?
yeah.
Do you have an example of a good sidekick?
I was going to say, like, one of my favorite sidekicks is Dog Meat from Fallout 4. He's my dog.
Thanks.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but that's it. He's my dog.
He's my dog. Yeah, no, it's
Valentine!
great. The first thing, the second thing, person you find when you leave the vault. I mean, you get your robot butler, but that's all right. Then you get a dog. Like, that's the best thing you could get. In a very shocking circumstance, your whole family is dead. The world's been blown up. Dog.
Yeah.
And his
It
best
helps.
friend.
Exactly. Doesn't second guess my opinions. Will go head first into a fight. Can dress him up with a little bandana. Like, what else do you want?
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. And you can get him a kennel. So you get a little house, put him in a
Ooh,
kennel, and he'll stay there and guard your house while you're off gallivanting. So,
that's really
perfect.
nice.
See? Good one.
If
Not enough.
if Akira can have dog meat, can I have Pokemon? Because I mean, technically, they're your sidekicks.
Like, if you were to say Pikachu to Ash, then yeah, for example.
But they do follow you in some of the games. So
I'll hear it.
yeah, they follow you. They battle for you. They die for you as well. Like, they literally are ride or die. I mean, you revive them at some point.
Sorry,
but-
I'm not gonna have you talking about every Pokemon. Like, Pokemon as a concept being a great sidekick. If that's what you're doing, no. 'Cause I'm listening to you, and you're just like, yeah, you give them rare candies and stuff, innit? They do the job. Come on.
Yeah.
What's
What
it?
else would you call them?
Pets.
Sidekicks, yeah.
Oh.
Pets.
They're not pets, they are members of the family, Andy.
Well, I mean, some people marry their pets, like in Invincible. So,
I knew it was
it's
going there. Do you think you ever fed her some peanut butter? Just brought it into the bedroom. See what happens.
Okay, I might. You are on a yellow card, Isaac. One more offense like that, and you're muted.
People like peanut butter.
You know what you're doing.
Yeah, we've met you. We know what you mean.
You know
Jim-
what you're doing.
Gym goers like peanut butter, and Miss Omni-Man was in good shape.
So why did you bring up the bedroom?
Did I bring up the bedroom?
Yes,
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. This is
Sleep.
2v1.
Sleep is important for growth and repair.
Why
Mainly
would you
growth.
have peanut butter when you're trying to go to sleep?
Oh, you have to eat that and then you go to bed.
You're not supposed to, and you don't brush your teeth halfway through. You're just eating peanut butter in bed.
Look here, when it comes to gains, if you have to pick between brushing and the peanut butter, you pick the peanut butter and you brush in the morning. But not every time. Once in a while.
No, he said what he said.
We're gonna move on because that is
Peanut butter
that
over
is
brushing.
so
Well,
many
not for
things
brushing.
wrong.
No, not for
All of
brushing.
that.
He said over brushing, you would rather have peanut butter.
Yeah, midnight snack. Don't
Sure,
brush
yeah.
your teeth. You
If
know?
this was like an infomercial to get people to go to the gym, it's not working out.
Oh, no, it's definitely
To not
not.
brush my teeth, damn.
But if I woke up in the night and I was hungry, I would eat and then just go to bed. I would not brush. I'm tired.
Extenuating circumstances right now.
Um,
It's moving the goalpost.
Okay, I'm going to take this time to talk about a sidekick now.
yes, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Here's one example of a good sidekick, in my opinion. Clank from the Ratchet and Clank franchise. I think he's a very good sidekick because he's pretty much the yin to Ratchet's yang. Because he's a wisecracking animal, and like there's a lot of emotion when Ratchet speaks, whether it's happiness or sadness. And Clank is very straight talking. He doesn't get humor. I don't think so, at least. Like, his humor is very dry, if there is any humor. And
Mhm.
I think they work very well together. Like, as you know, someone once sang, opposites attract, and I think in that couple, in that twosome, I think you get a very good pair, and like they strengthen each other's weaknesses. And a game with just Ratchet wouldn't be as good, and a game with just Clank wouldn't be as good. Together, they you could say they complete each other, really.
Oh,
Am I allowed to give an example from TV then?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
I was going to say good sidekicks would be Mark and Jez from Peep Show.
Oh God, who's the sidekick?
They're each other's sidekick
Okay.
because you know they would both think they're the main character of this story.
Absolutely.
they strengthen them each other as a character. They're both terrible people, but they're managed. They're I don't know. If the two of them are together, it's kind of better if they than just one of them's together because there'll be a collective disaster and it's more entertaining. Good sidekicks. They bring out the worst in each other.
Yeah, they're terrible in different ways.
Exactly.
Because Jez is a ne'er-do-well. He is, a couch surfer, doesn't do anything, quite lazy.
He's a bum.
Yeah, I was trying not to use that word, but yeah, he's a bum.
wasn't.
He's a bum! And with Mark, you have someone who's a bit more cerebral. So, like, he's quite functional in society. But saying that, his drawbacks are arguably worse because of how snide and sneaky he is about his bad stuff, and he knows they're bad. So I think the two of them together, they're just a couple of knobheads out on the lash, really. So like they can back it when the other one's in a bad situation. But either one of them on their own, like they're getting knocked out like every day. Like they are annoying people.
But there's something about the two of them together. While they're awful, they seem some less dangerous.
Yeah, it's like Dumb and Dumber, really.
Yeah.
So I guess at this point, when I do say sidekick, I don't literally just mean a sidekick. I don't just mean the Robin to Batman. Like I do mean someone who is basically a friend to the main character, who isn't like the star of the show franchise. So Krillin would be a sidekick in this instance. Tails would be a sidekick in this instance. Ellie would be a sidekick in Last of Us, the first one. So that's the kind of thing I'm going for.
Oh, that makes sense.
Like TV as well. Well, you do have the main character, and I'm mostly thinking in American TV. You've got the main character. The side character tends to be the more interesting person. Like, I watched Teen Wolf, and obviously it's about the main guy who becomes the werewolf. Personally, I found his best friend way more interesting than him, and he didn't get any powers throughout the entire show. He was just really, really smart, and clearly, I don't even know what I was going to say. He has, I think he had attention deficit disorder.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he was he was just overall a more interesting character than the main character. So yeah, I don't know what my point was. Sometimes side characters are better than the main characters. They add a little bit more flavor because the main character is supposed to be all the things that a main character is supposed to be: good looking, strong, blah blah blah. And the side character has to add something to it because they're not supposed to be the person that you look at all the time. But that I find it tends to add more to them if they don't just try and make this person eye candy.
Yeah, I think that's known as being the breakout star or something. When like you're not meant to, and you just blow up and you're bigger.
In the case that that one guy, his career has just flown off. He's got his whole movie franchises. He's doing this. Dylan O'Brien, that's what his name is. So from being the side character in Teen Wolf, he did the Maze Runner trilogy, and he's in a bunch of different movies, but names of which I cannot remember, but I'm sure they're good because I enjoy his acting. But yeah, breakout star, because you have to be more than just the pretty face. You need to stand out and be like, yeah, we have the main character, but the show's not going to be anything without that character. It's like trying to be friends without Joey. Like,
right, yeah.
Yeah, it's not as good.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Okay, in that case, let me try this again, actually, because I'm not doing well. What about, there's a guy called Guillermo in What We Do in the Shadows. And basically...
The film or the TV show?
The TV show, but I do enjoy the film. But the TV show film is amazing.
My favorite bit is, look, a ghost cap. So the long list of films I need to show you.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. And to be fair, I thought the film was way better than the show until I watched season 2. Season 2, I think all the characters, kind of come into their own and like they become great. But basically, so I'm about to spoil everything. Andy, are you ever going to watch this?
Probably
might
not.
watch the
Spoiler
show.
away. Spoiler alert
Well,
for everyone, including me.
all right,
Spoiler.
spoiler alert for what we do in the shadows. But basically, there's this butler. Well, no, what is it called when a vampire has like
The
a,
Familiar?
a familiar? That's it. And his name's Guillermo, and he's basically treated like crap for the whole show. He wants to become a vampire. His master's promised to make him a vampire, and that was like 10 years ago. And every now and then, you'll see like ex-familiars who was like, yeah, he was going to turn me into a vampire like 50 years ago. I kind of gave up, but Guillermo doesn't give up hope. And basically, he just gets treated terribly. And by some twist of fate, this man who wants to become a vampire is descendant from the Van Helsings. And in season 1, he accidentally kills so many vampires. In season 2, you realize, oh, it's because I'm a vampire hunter. And then because of something that went down in season 1, there are lots of vampire assassins gunning for his vampires, and he keeps killing them off, and his masters don't know. And he's doing it by accident all the time. And it's pretty funny, but I think even though he's not the main character, he's got a little like side story happening along the main plot that does add to the main plot a little bit. And it's just really enjoyable because is he gonna stick to his guns and keep being treated like shit, or will he become the vampire hunter he's clearly destined to be because he can't help it? I think he accidentally broke a piece of wood and turned it into like a cross and nearly killed his master. And now his master's really, really sus of him, but doesn't quite want to admit what is happening. But no, it's really cool. It's just one of those stupid shows, but it's enjoyable.
That sounds like physical comedy, but physical comedy when it's done right, like where it's subtle and funny. Sounds good.
Yeah, no, I'd
Yeah.
definitely give it a watch if you've got time.
That was a very good example, I would say. So I'm not gonna call Zoro a sidekick because that's a bit disrespectful.
Disrespectful, yes,
Rude.
but he's not the protagonist.
Yeah.
So, as not the protagonist, I think it's fine. But as sidekick, it's not. So, like, I think that's where he lies.
Yeah. So So Zoro is definitely a deuteragonist. Like,
yeah.
If you count the Straw Hat Pirates as protagonists, fine, he's a protagonist. But individually, Luffy's the protagonist. Everyone knows that. So Zoro, by default, is the deuteragonist, and I think he's great. And it's because he is everything that Luffy isn't.
Yeah. Luffy wants to find the One Piece. Yeah. Zoro doesn't know how to find anything.
So, the thing that I love about One Piece is everyone is stupid, but in a different way. So
even Robin.
She might be the one exception, but I'm pretty. She might be the one exception because Nami becomes stupid when she sees gold.
Yeah.
Usopp's just brain dead. Yeah, they're all silly.
We are imitating life, like we're all stupid in our own way.
Yeah. So Zoro is great. Like his introduction is one of the best I've seen in all of anime. He's got a crazy sick design, and I'm talking about his first design with the green bandana and the green sash. And he's just so cool. He's really cool. And I think this goes back to Akira's point of when naturally viewers tend to be more drawn to the deuteragonist, the one that they're not naturally putting the spotlight on. And that's for a number of reasons. But Zoro is a very talented swordsman, and when you consider how strong he is, being completely natty, it is even more impressive because like the main character needs to be special, right? They need to stand out. Otherwise, there's no point in watching the show, which is why he's a devil fruit user. But Zoro doesn't need any of that, and for me, that's why he's more impressive a character. I wouldn't change a thing. Zoro is a great number 2, but I think he is the unsung hero. Like the scene with Kuma where he takes all of the pain and then he says nothing happened, where you can see him he's bleeding everywhere. I'm sure he's lost like 25 pints of blood. I tried to work that one out, and he's just gone, nothing happened here, I'm fine. Like that just cemented him as the coolest.
He's a bad man.
He is a bad man. He's one of two people who could pull off a pink Batman shirt, and Zoro's a legend for me. Like, if there was an anime Hall of Fame, Zoro should be in there.
100%. And I like what you said about how you've got the main character and then you've got like Zoro, who is very different, and he's not like the main character who always stands out. And I think that's another thing that sidekicks do well. And I think that's another reason why sidekicks are so good, because the main character needs to be the spotlight and kind of appeal to everyone. And by trying to appeal to everyone, you kind of lose that individualism. So like, but with the side characters, you can kind of specialize them. And that's why shows like One Piece, Naruto to an extent, I guess Dragon Ball Z as well, maybe, are really good, because you'll have like a really well written like cast of people that revolve around the protagonist. So maybe the protagonist isn't your cup of tea, but there might be an arc where there's one character that you're like, whoa, they need to come back. I need more of them. Which is why when we get to bad sidekicks, the Foxy Pirates are going to be there, because they just keep coming back and they're not filler. But yeah, I really like that point you made about the main character being the spotlight, and everyone should like them. But yeah, I think that's why sidekicks are amazing. It's a little specialization.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I guess briefly I'll talk about the other man who is cool enough to wear a pink Batman shirt, Vegeta from the Dragon Ball franchise. He starts off as an antagonist. So we're going to talk about his time from Namek till like the end of Z. And he is a great sidekick because, well, he's an anti-hero. So he's not a sidekick, but he's definitely a deuteragonist. He's definitely the guy who's being pushed as, you need to pay attention to this guy. He's important. He's a full-blooded Saiyan. And, if Goku's not here, you can at least rely on this guy in strength-wise.
Can you?
Womp womp.
I have finally done it. I've become the legend. No, you haven't.
Enthusiasm, guys.
Well, I mean, so a big reason as to why I like Vegeta is his range of emotions. Now, most of the time he's angry, he's grumpy, he doesn't like his son for like 6 years. But like when you see really painful moments, like he's crying against Frieza because he realizes he's not actually the Super Saiyan, like you were referencing, Isaac, and he knows he's going to die. Like he actually starts crying, and it's touching. Someone met with their own mortality, and this is someone who's been bred, silver spooned for like 25 years, saying the universe is yours, you just need to go out and take it. And this is reality smacking him in the face. And the way not sidekicks, but non-main characters react to failure is very different to the way that main characters react to failure. And I think that's what made Vegeta appealing to me. And the fact that he keeps messing up in the Cell Saga, he's pretty much responsible for getting Cell his perfect form, getting all those people killed, getting Goku killed. And then in the Buu Saga, he's pretty useless as well, apart from when he's half of Vegeta. So, like, there are varying degrees of success, but I think his involvement in all of the series makes him a really important deuteragonist or an anti-hero or whatever you want to call it. Were you going to say something? Sorry.
I was going to ask, after he met with his own mortality, was he nicer to his son?
That was before he met his son, so no. Vegeta was a bastard for a long time.
Evidently.
Oh, do you mean Future Trunks?
No, so like in Namek, Trunks wasn't around.
But how could he hate his son if his son wasn't around at that point?
Vegeta would have found a way to make it possible.
I already don't like this guy.
Oh.
This man's
Yeah,
got
he's
main
not
character
great.
syndrome. He ain't even main character, boy.
He's not a good dad until he dies for the second time.
They should have made the first one permanent.
Yeah.
Because you had the second time around the sun and you decided to still be a gigantic melon. Like, it's time to go, blood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just to add on to your point, Andy, about how you really liked Vegeta, I think everything you said about him. So how like the side character, the deuteragonists handle defeat differently to the main character. I think there's some realism there because main characters are just full of shit. Like there's power of friendship. There's let me train intensely for a couple months and somehow beat this person who has trained their entire lives. And sometimes that person's life could be thousands of years because there's some kind of godly deity, and you've come along on a summer holiday and you've somehow been able to match and defeat them. It's nonsense. And I,
you know.
you know what I mean? Honest, I'm watching these and I'm like, nah, fuck off. You should die. Like this isn't fair. And sometimes I'm honestly with like Garu from One Punch Man when he wants the villains to win. Because sometimes, yeah, they fucking should. Like this villain is 1,000-year-old like giant centipede. And I guess a certain character eventually defeated it, and that's fair enough because that's the show. But everyone else, like, yeah, like you're not going anywhere. You shouldn't defeat this. Fair enough. And in any other show, if One Punch Man wasn't like a mockumentary on, mockumentary is the wrong word, but like, you know, a parody, that's it, of anime, then he'd be finished. He should be finished. But it works for One Punch Man. But here's the thing, even though it's a parody, a lot of shows still have that One Punch Man nonsense. The main character is basically One Punch Man because they somehow win under these stupid like conditions. And don't get me started on when the main character's on the floor, finished, and then someone's like, no, don't die, or I love you, and somehow they gain like these reserves of strength, and that's not how the body works. Okay, if you have exhausted all your lipid stores or your fat stores or whatever, you don't have any energy. You're not doing anything. You're done. You stay on the ground,
bro. That's shown in science, man. Like it's a real thing.
Shonen makes me angry the more I grow up, and I hate it. But yeah, the way people like Vegeta handle things, it's a lot more realistic as to what would actually go down. Like, spoiler alert, Vegeta gets defeated, he gets killed. And who's another sidekick that
You spoiled Dragon Ball.
So I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. But yeah, like I do like the fact there's a lot more realism with the sidekicks. Like for example, Hunter x Hunter, spoiler alert, there was literally a guy who felt Miriam's presence, his hair went white, and he was like, no, I'm out.
Yes.
Do you know what? That was survival instinct kicking in. He could die a dog's death for no reason or live to see another day. I think he chose the right option. I won't lie. There's no shame in leaving a 100% guaranteed L. Like, why are you there? Use your brain, use your common sense. You have to go. Stop. Yeah.
That was a good moment.
That's quite funny.
That was funny.
Are there any more shouts for good sidekicks in any fictional?
Is it in Demon Slayer? The guy who wears the pig mask? Inosuke. I prefer him to Tanjiro because Tanjiro will be out there like fighting demons, and then the demons will tell him one Jeremy Kyle sob story, and all of a sudden his heart is touched and he can't kill them. And Inosuke is like, I came here to win. He's like, I don't fight, I beat bitches up. It's time to go. But Tanjiro's like, you know what? Let's have a heart to heart. Do you want tea and biscuits? No, this guy was yamming on children in the next village over, but because they shed one tear, you were like, you know what? Yeah, it's not your fault.
Was that the guy with the drums on his chest?
Many demons.
Many
demons emotionally.
Literally. He's like, I'm trying to find this guy to turn my sister back. Well, you said you're going to go to war. So you need to go to war. They're shooting people in the club, and you're just like, but oh my god, he's the girl. When the boy, you know, when guys start fighting outside the club, and then the girl's like, stop this, I know him. Think about what we talked about. That's Tanjiro. In those case, one of the guys like, no, he said this, so this is what's gonna happen. Tanjiro's a pick-me.
You have disrespect. Do you know what? Do you know that meme where it's like, you're out of line, but you're right.
It's a good joke. It's a very good joke, but
oh my goodness.
I want to be angry, but I can't because there's nothing wrong in what she said.
Yeah.
Tanjiro is constantly trying to break up fights in the club. And
sometimes it's either not your business or it's a fight that has to be had.
Yeah.
Like either piss or get off the pot. And especially in the case of demons who are literally kidnapping people out of their bed and drinking all their blood. I don't give a shite if your dad abandoned you when you were 9, was in and out of your home life, mate. You're a demon. And no, your backstory doesn't legitimize terrible actions now. It's up to you.
100%. 100%.
You are of tax-paying age and you're committing crime. That's your business.
Some of the sub-stories aren't even that good. They're not even that deep. So it's like, why is Tanjiro crying? This man is so soft. Like, I get the story that they're trying to tell. He's a good person. But come on, man. You need to stiffen up a little bit. Yeah. Like, another thing that we see in rivals, maybe it might be a better term, anti-heroes, they tend to lack any mercy. That's the word. Like, someone like Inosuke is just beheading a demon. They're not thinking twice about it. They don't care how many tears they shed. And, you know, I think that is why Inosuke is a more appealing character in the world of Demon Slayer than Tanjiro.
It's just, I feel like it's just a level of practicality at a point, because I've been watching Grey's Anatomy at the moment, and there's some character who always gets emotionally attached, and everyone's like, you need to stop getting emotionally attached, because it's going to make you a worse doctor if you're invested, and every time something goes wrong, you're going to be devastated. You need to separate yourself in order to fix this person. You've got to care about what you're doing, but don't fall in love with everybody who comes to the hospital. So it's the same thing, Tanjiro. Sometimes you just have to chop off heads. If he's trying to get 8 hours night sleep and save his sister and do this, that, and the other, he needs to be a little bit more practical. Like, at least Inosuke knows. Then when he got squished by the spider demon, he was quiet.
He was humbled.
He was humbled. He didn't need to monologue for that.
And there's that scene of him like holding Tanjiro's shirt. He's so like vulnerable. You know, Inosuke is like very well-rounded, I would say.
Yeah, for someone who shouts and can't pronounce Tanjiro's name, he's a great character. All caps.
So I think we are agreed that the baseline, the secret to writing a good secondary character, shall we say, is just good writing, because essentially you're writing a story, you're creating a world for us as viewers to believe in and lend ourselves to. And I think good writing just builds very solid 3D characters, whether it be the main character or the main antagonist or the deuteragonist. And the writing can be the difference between a good sidekick and a bad sidekick. So now I want to see what suggestions we have when it comes to poor sidekicks. And again, open discussion.
This is a tough one, because if a show is bad, I'll just drop it. So
I can go first.
Yeah, please go first.
This is a troll answer though. Eddie from The Last of Us 1, annoying, like practically doesn't play well. In terms of the story though, I would say she's a good side character. But if we're talking about playing in the game, I think she's a bad side character. So this is a funny one.
Look at this argument again where you're like Ellie versus Atreus. That is an infant. She's not even the child of a god. Like,
he didn't know he was a god.
Squaring up in beef, and he had like 9-year-old you. Do you think you're gonna be like helpful?
I think these are all things to try and distract us from the point, which is relatively in this world, Ellie is not helpful as a character. And things become different in Last of Us Part 2 when you are Abby and you have Lev by your side. And it's completely different. Lev is a good sidekick, and Ellie is a bad sidekick.
Yes,
would that be a case of Naughty Dog just becoming better developers and knowing how to use a secondary character? I'd say it's not really Ellie's fault. It's just it is what they could do with the PS3. Remember, that was the PS3 game.
Do you know, I think in the case, a whole part of the storyline for The Last of Us was positioning the two characters as parent and child. So a lot of that was Joel protecting his child. And your child is not exactly the person who jumps to the front of the fight. If there's a fight going on, you're in front of your child. So she's not necessarily going to be useful in that way. But if you've previously played God of War, then obviously she's going to be a useless child.
Also, like, Atreus was raised as a warrior to an extent. He was taught how to fight and to hunt. Faye did teach him certain things. Like, he wasn't just...
taught him how to hunt.
She taught him how to clap back, apparently, because dang.
Yeah. And to an extent, I'd say he kind of knows how to hold his own. Like, apart from, I guess... No, to be fair, Kratos doesn't really teach Atreus much. He just shouts at him a lot. Like, you don't really see Kratos say, this is how you do this. This is how you do this. He shows him how to finish off a beast, and I think Atreus already kind of knew how to do that. He was just scared, but Atreus did know his way around certain weapons. And there was that scene where Kratos goes away for a bit, and he's gone for a very long time, and he left the axe, and Atreus has just committed some atrocities. Basically, I think he wiped out half population. Honestly, the bodies. So yeah, I think Atreus, he already knew how to fight, and Ellie was just a girl. She was just a small child.
I hear that. I'm trying not to compare the two.
I think especially
in this case, though,
considering Ellie's background, she's protected by the Fireflies all the time. So
Yeah.
And the one time she wanders out, she gets bit by a zombie. So she's not exactly the star player.
Yeah,
Hey.
I mean, I'm not backing it for Ellie, but nah, come on, man. Don't.
This is an
what I'm
agenda
gonna
that's been going on.
what I'm gonna say is, if her being awful to play with is a byproduct of the story, then you know what? Fair play, Naughty Dog. I'll take that.
Oh yeah, you do play with her for a small scene. Oh yeah, I agree then. Never mind, I agree. I thought you meant in terms of her helping Joel as you play the game. Yeah, I agree, Andy. No, I agree. I saw that level. I would hate to play that. No.
I don't really think that console limitations is a sound argument either, because we've had great games on the PS3.
Hold on. What good escort games have we had? What good games with secondaries have we had?
Lollipop Chainsaw.
How does that work then? Okay. Oh yeah. All right. I take it back. Take it back fully.
Any other bad characters? That was just something to get like the brains going.
I have one. In BioShock Infinite, obviously main character Booker DeWitt, and then you have the side character Elizabeth. Now Elizabeth is integral to the story, but there's just one thing she does when you're in fighting, and it really drives me nuts. Because obviously I'm going to run out of bullets and I'm going to run out of powers. But if I'm fighting against animatronic Abraham Lincoln, don't disrupt me to throw stuff at me. I can't have a whole conversation. You keep splitting up my concentration. Shit's flying everywhere, and you're like, oh, by the way, I thought you might need this. Just and it's always like there's a whole scene that happens because you got to turn and then she's got to throw it and then you've got to look at what you've got, and it's like, no, I don't have time for this. They're whipping my ass over there.
I'm gonna be that guy straight away. So you started that sentence with like, you're gonna run out of ammo and whatnot. She's throwing you more ammo.
No, not just ammo. Anything she finds, she'll throw it at me in the middle of the thing, and it's like, I'm a little bit busy at the moment, Elizabeth.
Do you use those things that she throws you?
I appreciate it, but at the same time, consistently throughout the fight.
So there's consistency as well with her help.
Continuously throughout the fight, I'm trying to concentrate. You've never been in a situation where you're flying in the fucking air, mate. There is not just one. There are at least 5 animatronic Abraham Lincolns with machine guns. They never run out of bullets. So why do I?
I don't know. I feel like she's helping you. I think I'm on her side. I'm sorry.
It used to drive me nuts because I feel like it throws off my concentration when I'm fighting, because it doesn't necessarily mean that the fighting itself stops. The world is still moving around you, but now I have to focus on this.
Wait, so can you get shot out of the animation?
As well?
Are you not indestructible during the animation? Like,
it's not that. I just find that taking my concentration away and then having to kind of focus back on what's happening, because it's a complete change of scene. Like it's the same cutscene all the time when she throws something at me.
Yeah.
So, like I say, I do appreciate her as a character, and yes, what she does is useful. But if I'm fighting something and 7 times
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that can get
It throws
frustrating.
me off.
That
I
makes
get it.
sense. And the screens do get quite hectic because there is so because it's not just you that can do the jumps. Other people are doing the jumps off the rails and whatnot and causing like chaos. So
Exactly. We're in the sky, shit is flying from everywhere, and like I say, these animatronics, they're massive. And he's always wearing the hat, and they have wings as well. And I'm pretty sure they have 2 guns. So now there's 10 guns firing at me, and you want us to have a little chat. Like, can we do this after this? Like, I appreciate it, but still.
could I just say, like, I do agree, but could we just put her in the neutral box? So not a bad sidekick, but maybe not a good one, but just put in the neutral box.
We can put her in the neutral box because, like, it's not necessarily bad what she does, but there is a time and a place. Or just get all of the ammo that you find and give it to me once.
Yeah.
Then if I have no more bullets left, I can deal with that when the time comes.
That would be an interesting cutscene, though. Like, instead of her throwing you a bit of money, you get a bit of money, you get a Tommy gun, you get some grenades. What if you drop the grenade and it's an instant death? I'd like to see that cutscene.
You know what? When it happens, I will deal with it at the time. But until then, I'm trying not to die.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I like that one.
I'm trying to think of more suggestions. Isaac, do you have any?
I've only got good ones here. Like, I've got Atreus on here. I've got Midna from The Legend of Zelda. Donkey made it onto this list. Ron and Hermione from Harry Potter. Samwise Gamgee. Guillermo, which I spoke about. Only got the good ones.
Okay.
Bad. I don't know, because I think when it comes to a sidekick, like, you don't inherently have a bad sidekick in a good story. At least not one that I can think of. So it'd have to be like a bad game or a bad story where you find this bad sidekick, and who has time for that? Honestly, I thought you guys would have more options, and I just bounce off your ideas. I was fully here to osmosis.
The sidekicks aren't necessarily bad. It's when they have, like, obviously for, like, in an anime, there's an overarching thing that we're aiming towards, and then like the main character's best friend decides that they have something that's more important to do, or that is directly in conflict with the main story. I think there's an arc in 7 Deadly Sins where obviously they're all working to keep the demons out or shut the demons, something to do with demons. And Bun, who is supposed to be like Meliodas' best mate, is just thinking about Cheeks and how he can help his bird Elaine. And in order to help her, he's got to kill his best mate Meliodas. And I'm like, rah. Like, I like Bun as a character, but if your mate is like, I'm going to try and cut off the whole world that we're in from the demon world, and your idea is like, but my girlfriend, like, do you not have sense? And it seems almost uncharacteristic when the side character does something that is so utterly selfish and doesn't make any sense to the storyline or to the relationships they have with the main character. That's when they become a bad side character. Because what kind of person will go, like, if you had the choice, like, you had to save the whole planet or some girl that you met once 1,000 years ago who may or may not be your girlfriend?
Yeah.
There's an I word for this type of person, and I don't want him to become one.
Or, because he's so not that, but that one thing,
that kind of behavior.
Sorry, Isaac, were you gonna say something?
No, I was just like, every time 7 Deadly Sins get brought up, I dislike it more and more, because I think a mate I was talking to about it, and like, Elaine is clearly 1,000 years old, don't get me wrong, but Elaine does have the body of a 11-year-old, and
there's a TikTok I have to send to you about this particular thing.
Yeah, please do.
Where they're all talking about how their type of woman is the best, and then Bun's like, nah, Elaine's got it going on, and then you see Escanor on the phone to the FBI, like,
Who decided that?
Is it like no? Meliodas is like it's for Elizabeth. King is for Diane. Bun is for this infant. Nah.
Oh, 7 deadly sins. Huh. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll put man in that box. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big sus man.
He's really he's such a like I like him as a character, but every so often you're like, that is a child. I want to see you sniffing around. Go back to your day job, please, sir.
Yep.
I thought of some. So from Death Note, Mello and Nia, because as far as I'm concerned, they're sidekicks to L. And I mean, Isaac's Grown says it all. They are basically people who succeed L, and they are there trying to hunt down Kira, who is the killer, just wiping out a lot of people around the world, trying to shape the earth in their image. And I mean, yeah, they're talented, Mello and Nia, but they just seem like two halves of L in the worst possible way. It's like they've got all of his annoying little habits, like his really weird fascination with sweet foods, which doesn't really add anything to his character at all. And they are just some of the most uninspired characters that, you know, the meme is like put Death Note in the Death Note when, you know, a certain thing happens in the middle of the series. Because the quality just tanks. Like, you could skip a good few episodes or chapters depending on how you're consuming Death Note. It's not good after a certain point.
Wait, even the manga?
Well, I've not read the manga, but I would assume you could do the same because they would have had to build these two characters.
Okay.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like the show was going to end after L's death, and then there was like outrage, so they had to like come up with two people quickly to carry on the story. That's what it sounds like. That's the impression I'm getting. I
would not be surprised if that was the case, because it looks like two different people wrote it from like the quality, the pacing. It doesn't look like that was what Death Note was intended to be.
That would be so interesting though, because you don't get a lot of shows and stuff where the villain wins.
And that was my intrigue with the entire series. I wanted to see, is this the time they're going to pull the trigger? Because I would like to see that.
And sometimes with great shows, there isn't really any other way to end them. Like I really like was The Sopranos, and it got to such a point where there's no way to end it. So they just ended it with the implication that the family's gonna die, but you never see it. And some shows you just have to end it in a way that's like unfinished, and killing off L but keeping Kira alive would be unfinished, but also a great way to end it, because now your mind's like all the possibilities.
Yeah.
I don't have to be chasing them to the ends of the earth. And also, maybe not such a bad idea. Just a lot of population, and look at the fucking state of the ozone layer right now, guys.
It's not the real world. You could have an alternate world where, like, you know, that guy wins. You can have your Thanos victory, you know?
Because it wouldn't give it to us in the MCU.
Yeah.
So we'll get somewhere.
Yeah.
You can have the Thanos win, right? Yeah, whatever. But Death Note started off really well. The intrigue was there, and then after a certain point, after L dies, just tanks. It's poor after that. And I blame Mello and Nia.
It's one of those cases where, like, you know, in anime, how for some reason they don't continue it into the manga, and there's that bullshit end to wrap things up, but they don't know what they're doing, so they ruin things. So have you guys seen Agame ga Kill? And that's what it's called.
Watched like 7 episodes.
Fair.
I meant to watch it, but I haven't.
That woman who's just entirely made of guns makes no sense.
I don't even remember her. Huh.
She's like in the early episodes. I swear she like loses an arm and it's like a gun. Then the other arm goes, another gun. Then legs, gun. There are just guns popping out of every place. A gun could pop out, and I was like, you know what? Yeah. well done for animating this, but even for me, this is a bit nonsensical.
I have watched it. I remember that
Remember?
episode. Yeah.
Pure guns.
Yeah.
I was riding for the girl with the giant scissors, but then that happened. I was like, nah.
Mhm.
Okay, I won't spoil anything, but that ending was hot trash. And anyone who's watched it knows why. But yeah, it feels like Death Note could have done that, but given us something better. Just okay, L happened. Now we end it. And I just hate it when the animation studios just get it wrong. They don't know how to end it sometimes, and like sometimes it's just okay to just stop and give us
Yeah.
nothing. Just stop. You don't have to tie it up, unless something like Death Note. Then tie it up.
Yes,
Early.
give us nothing.
Yeah.
That's why I always respect the Assassination Classroom mangaka, because the studio basically they wanted him to make more issues. They wanted more content from him, and he's like, "No, I'm ending it here. The story's over, and I'm not gonna flesh it out because that's
Yeah.
how you get certain things like the horrendous decisions that were made in late Dragon Ball. Like that had a definitive end, and they kept pushing it because it was making so much money, and the quality tanked for it. I will always respect someone who chooses art over money.
It's
Yeah.
quality over quantity
Yeah.
every
100%.
single time. You see it in films nowadays, especially Hollywood films, where they'll remake the same film like 7 times. And we're like, we know the story. You haven't even changed the story. You've just decided to make it with who you think is hot and current now, and you haven't enhanced on it at all. What was the point? Except for you to spend your own money.
Yep. It's always nice when those films tank.
It's actually delicious because you haven't got half the quality of the previous version of this film. You just thought you could make a quick buck and it's not worked. Unfortunately, that can tend to ruin the story overall of the previous ones.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I would quickly want to put in Orihime in Bleach. Just terrible.
Adds nothing.
Literally.
Zero.
So like, when you make a meal for someone, they're not enjoying it, but they're gonna eat it out of respect. Yeah, that's what Orihime is in Bleach. Just bland. No salt, no seasoning, no pepper at all. Just cooked with water and hate. It's just so bad. Like, it would be better if she wasn't in the show. She adds nothing, and it's just such an eyesore.
I think you could take her out and it would be okay. Ichigo wouldn't have the power of his girlfriend, but he'd still have the power of friendship, which would be enough to get him through certain fights.
Yeah,
Ugh,
it's
the
just
power
as
of
detestable.
friendship. Ugh.
It's just as detestable. The power of love and the power of friendship. Mm-hmm.
Oh wait. Speaking of bad sidekicks in shows, am I wrong? In Sailor Moon, it's all magical girls and all them ones, and they got the power of friendship. Am I not wrong? Is not Sailor Moon supposed to be 14 and Tuxedo Mask is supposed to be a college student? That's a bad man.
I haven't seen it, and I've seen the memes. He comes along, takes the credit, and leaves. What happens? Why is he bad?
That's a bad character. That's the Vulture. Imagine you're at
What,
work.
from Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yes, he's the
Yeah.
Vulture. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's a bad side character. Except the Vulture's funny.
I love him. No, I think he's a good side character. I will allow this mask guy from Sailor Moon.
So Ban we've got an issue with, but this guy in the freshly pressed suit, you're like, give him a pass.
I
mean, I only know him from the memes. So he gets a pass.
And that's the way you're extrapolating the data. All right, cool.
Yep. Memes are the purest form of media these days, so I have no choice.
Who else did I really not like? Okay, this is a double one, and this is probably the last I'm going to speak on this topic. Sakura from Naruto, Noelle from Black Clover. They are very similar, and I think it's because a lot of male mangaka are terrible at writing female characters. Sakura serves to give birth to Sasuke's kid, and that is it. She is annoying from episode 1, and that's fine. A lot of characters are annoying from episode 1. Naruto is very annoying from episode 1. unlikable, I would say. The thing is, Naruto comes a very long way, and yeah, he's the main character. Yeah, he's the chosen one. But then Sakura almost gets that growth. It's not like she remains annoying. Ino remains annoying for the entire series, and doesn't get any better, in my opinion. Hot garbage from beginning to end. But Sakura gets better. And like in Shippuden, there's like, yes, she can actually stand with the other two of Team 7. And then all of a sudden it just goes away. And that's really infuriating for me. So she's a bad sidekick for that.
I will say to slightly defend Sakura, I don't know if it might be a ratings thing, but for me, I'm happy she left. I didn't like her throughout all of Shippuden. Not Shippuden, all of the first 150, part 1.
Yeah, the best
and
part.
And then to bring her, like, I'm glad that she got the development. Like, it was great to see. But for me personally, it was too little too late. I didn't care about her story. I didn't care that she'd become apprenticed to Tsunade, who, as well, I didn't really like that much. So when she just lost all her screen time, I was like, fuck yeah. Like, forget about her. And then they started bringing in other characters. Like, you got Asuma, who we learned a little bit more about, and then Kurenai's story. Unfortunately, I won't spoil it because I think this is actually a really good arc. It's a really good story. But unfortunately, because something happens to one of them, the other person is also kind of benched because they kind of sort of retire. And it feels like we got a good arc with them and everything was taken away, which really sucked.
You've had your chips now.
Yeah. So like it would have been good to just, for me personally, forget Sakura and just build up all the other characters, which I think they did to an extent in Shippuden. But yeah, and then even when Sakura had another chance to shine, she just let herself down. She bottled it. I think Sasuke comes back at one point, and her reaction to him coming back was just god awful. I won't spoil it again because I think it's quite an enjoyable scene for those of you who don't like Sakura, because my goodness, no one likes Sakura even in the show. But yeah, those are my 2 cents on that.
I mean, I've never watched Naruto, but I always got the impression that Sakura was literally just created to be Sasuke's baby mom. I get the impression that she just trails him around the entire time and can't take. He's just not into you.
There is. You don't need to watch Naruto anymore.
Damn.
That's the whole plot.
Damn. That's really upsetting because that's not even like she's a bad character. It's like the writers could not have given a flying monkey to create someone even remotely, not even 3D, 2D.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is why there's issues of having female main characters for stuff. If you've historically just had female characters who are made to be side pieces for the boys, when you get a female main character, a lot of people don't really know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And the issue is like Sakura had glimpses of like, maybe she's gonna come into herself, because there's a scene in the Zabuza, it's not called the Zabuza arc, but Zabuza was there and they're doing whatever, and like Naruto and Sasuke can't quite get how to run up trees and whatnot and chakra control, but Sakura is really good at it. And I think eventually, I know Naruto definitely asks her for help. I'm not sure if Sasuke does, but Naruto goes and asks her for help. And Kakashi is really proud of Naruto's growth, going to someone for help. And Sakura has shown that, she's actually quite good at this. So little things like that, like, as annoying as she was, okay, she's a competent ninja, great. But then there's nothing to show for it. And like, here's the thing, when you play her video games, in the first Naruto game, she doesn't really have a move. She's got her parody Angry Sakura as her finisher. What the hell is that? I mean, she's not pulling her weight in the show.
That says it all, yeah.
No, come on, get out, man. You gotta have like something.
I've already given you several characters, and now you want a 3D girl one guy.
And Noelle, just because I think all of Black Clover is bad personally, but Noelle is comfortably the worst character in the show so far. Don't know if anyone's going to read it or watch it.
No.
Don't really care. It's not good. Anyone who does like it, fair play. but I think it's the most factory churned shonen bullshit that could ever possibly exist. It's taken everything from every popular shonen like 10, 20, 30 years ago and just like kind of pushed it in some kind of abomination machine. And here you go. Every shonen trope imaginable is here. Main character's loud. Main character's a doofus. Main character wants to be the king of the people that are the shit in this world. Main character has a rival who's super cool and everyone likes him and is going to be the chosen one apparently. And then you have the girl who likes the main character but doesn't quite want to admit it, and that's Noelle. And they're just, it's painful at this point. I don't know why, but this writing in particular is very offensive to me because they're like, there are times where she can just say the thing like, yo, what are you saying? I like you, I'm feeling you. Let's, get to it. And like she would blush and run away. Like I get Hinata from Naruto. That was her personality. And that was like it bled into other parts of the show. When she fights Neji, that personality is there. So it's
Wait, she fights Neji?
they do fight because it's in the Chunin exams.
Yeah, find out who wins.
Neji won.
Neji.
Come on.
Effortlessly. Come on, effortlessly. Because I know he fights Hinata in the tuning exams. But
That's
I don't know
what I'm
about...
Damn.
Oh, Hinata. Oh, sorry, I thought you
Yeah.
meant Sakura. Sorry, my bad.
I did say
I heard
Hinata.
Sakura. Sorry. I don't know why. Oh, yeah, he smacked her. It was
Yeah.
painful to watch.
And my point was, it does kind of lend a sense of believability when it comes to Hinata being weird with Naruto, because she's just weird all the time. Whereas with Noelle, like, there are times where she's like really kick-ass and she's owning her shit and she could do this, and then like she turns into a pool of mess when it comes to Asta. And it's like, why can't you get together? These two sides of you don't mesh at all. They don't make the same person. And it's, I mean, I just think the writer's very bad. But that character is just so bad. And I had to drop Black Clover, and I gave it a lot of chances because I really wanted it to be good, because if it came out in the 80s or maybe even the 90s, it would have been good, because Rave Master, right? A lot of people like Rave Master, and I don't think that's very good either. But this is out after One Piece. This is out after Naruto. This is out after Dragon Ball, Yu Yu Hakusho. So many better series have been made, and it's like, what have you done to stay up to date with these new beasts in the game? Nothing.
Good
I love that
soundtrack.
you feel personally attacked by this.
I'm
Like,
very
genuinely like, this is at the front. This was directly made to piss you off. I'm loving it.
No hate though. I'm sure the writer's a lovely guy, but it's not good. Black Clover is not good.
You
Not
see
for
why
you.
it took me so long to get into shonen stuff?
Yeah.
There's all the different marks they hit, and there's someone shouting. Like, come on now.
Oh yeah. So I read the manga for like 100 chapters before dropping it. So I found out they were going to do an anime. I watched it, and like, Asta's really shouting. The voice actor or actress is really shouting every single line of Asta's, and I had to stop it 3 minutes in. I was like, this is bad. Berserk 2016 was bad, but this is bad. Like, I can't finish a single episode of this. God bless anyone who can.
I just want a side character to be like, so the main character's just shouting. Some random NPC person like opens up the window and is like, shut up! Get out, I'm trying to put my kids to sleep. You're standing in my yard, hooting and hollering like you're on the radio. I want it to be like a constant theme of someone telling them to just, do you mind? You're disrupting nature.
Seems like a great parody anime. I would watch it.
That's something that would be in either Psyche or One Punch Man.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Because Genos is a bad sidekick. But it's a
Oh,
parody.
Genos. Oh,
He's
yeah.
so,
Okay.
He's so
Like,
eager.
He's on top of the list, but like, it's not. He's meant to be bad. So
Yeah, I guess so.
It's because he's got the boyish good looks.
yeah.
And then
yeah.
Saitama comes with his bald head shining in the sunlight, and they're like, oof. He looks like an egg all of the time,
Yeah.
except when he's
Mhm.
about to slap someone up. So of course he's not high class.
Are there any final shouts
Um,
on bad sidekicks?
I will add one more. It's a weird one because they're good and they're bad at the same time. So it's Suzaku from Code Geass, and I think it's only because of the way the show is written. Because hear me out, hear me out.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it because I completely get where you're coming from. I'm gonna let you finish.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I just read your face now. I was like, oh. But you've got the main character, and I guess because you see their perspective, you're just like, yeah, I get it. I get why he's doing this. I get why he's doing this. And then Suzaku comes along, and you're like, why are you so against this guy? And Suzaku's main thing is, and it's so stupid, like, we can change things from the inside. We don't need to kill anyone. This man is slaughtering people left, right, and center. He's literally got one of the strongest mechs in the whole anime, and he's fucking shit up. Shut up. What? And literally like because there was a war basically, and oh damn, like Code Geass really hits home. Actually, I fucking love this show. And basically Britannia, and literally I think it took me like a year or 2 or 3 to realize after I watched it that this is literally just the Britannia, like
British Empire.
the British Empire. Literally, it's literally that. And they do take over like
They
half
won't
of
be
the
insulting
world.
you though.
Basically.
Imagine him
They-
loving
no.
the show and being like, "This is the best show ever." Da, 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 da.
I wonder where they got the inspiration from.
Casual, like, would save the Queen playing in the background, like East India Trading Company.
Literally. And but basically, like, so the main character is like the 99th Prince of Britannia, which means his dad was very busy. And the friend was the son of the Prime Minister of Japan. Japan was defeated. Lelouch got sent there as I guess a political hostage or whatever, as a show of good faith. Here's one of my sons, whatever. And they grew up together, blah blah blah. They get separated, and Suzaku now joins the Britannian army, and Japan is now called Area 11. This is something they do to take away people's pride and nationality and all that. They call them 11s. They're not called Japanese people, and they're treated as second-class citizens, basically. Worse, really. And Suzaku's big idea is to, let me grow and get stronger during the ranks, work my way up, and change things from the inside. And the Lelouch is like, I'm just gonna dismantle the system, just break it. And I'm watching, I'm like, yes, fucking yes. Like, they have to be stopped. And there's more to it than that, because it's not just the British Empire's reign. There's a lot more behind the scenes, because like there's mech involved, and there's also there's a slight supernatural aspect to it that doesn't ruin the show. I think it goes quite well, actually. So the Britannians have so much going for them. Like, literally, Lelouch also uses this power or whatever to even up the odds and fights the Britannian army. And Suzaku's there at every turn being like, you can't do this, stop this, don't do this, blah, blah, blah. Lelouch even tries to bring him into the fold and be like, join me and we can actually change things. And he's like, no. Bear in mind, Lelouch did have a secret identity at this point, and he did save Suzaku. Because here's the kicker, right? Here's the kicker. Spoiler alert for the first episode, right? Suzaku is shot by his own squad because of like something that they're trying to keep on the wraps. He survives, then he's framed because basically Lelouch saves like an area of 11s, Japanese people, from being utterly decimated because one of the princes is like, oh, things went to shit. I want my dirty little secret to be like saved. So he decides to kill an entire area. Lelouch stops this, the main character, and Suzaku is about to take the fall for this. Lelouch comes along, saves the day, saves him, and he's like, I really appreciate you saved me, but we have to do things the right way from the inside. There is no inside. They want you dead. They don't care about you. And he keeps this mentality throughout the whole show. And I'm like, you're the fucking worst. I absolutely despise you. And yeah, I think that's why he's a bad side character. Like, I get where he's coming from. And at one point, Lelouch does cross a line. He crosses a very big line. But Suzaku's way of thinking is just not right, in my opinion. Yeah.
That's the dismantle the police or join the police and work and get to the top and then change it once you're inside. But once you're inside, you have to behave like them to get to the top. So what's worth it?
Yeah, like, when do you start changing things?
When do you start changing things? Because now you're really comfortable and you got the big top guy's hat. Like you're kind of setting your ways at this point. So you want to start changing now? How long is that going to take?
I actually agree with you 100%, Isaac, on that point. I would definitely rule that Suzaku is a bad side character because of that. But that's definitely intentional.
Yeah.
Not like some of the examples I gave.
Boy.
That's evidence of good writing, you know, a good mangaka.
I do agree.
Like it's the tale of ideologies and how, despite being in the same environment, they are fundamentally different people, and because of that, entitlement and simple things like just warp them slightly. And in Suzaku's mind, he is 100% right.
Yeah.
And in a certain angle, Suzaku is 100% right. But Lelouch is right from his point of view, and Lelouch is right from many angles because I side with Lelouch here. It's great. Suzaku is a bad side character, but not for the reasons that traditionally we would be looking at a bad side character.
Yeah. Just he's deluded.
So to round up, I want from each of you your favorite side character and why. Who wants to go first?
In anything?
Anything. Akira, you seem like you got someone on the mind. You go first.
I'm assuming I can't pick Dog Meat again, but I will pick somebody else from Fallout 4. I'm gonna pick Paladin Dance.
Okay.
He's a paladin from the Brotherhood of Steel, which I get into. Just an organization I get into, and then I get to have his job for reasons which don't need to be discussed now. But I just really enjoy his character, because I like how Bethesda created all their characters. There are certain actions that you can do which will put you in their favor or out of their favor, and I personally enjoy playing to see how I can be within his favor and without his favor. I think it's fun.
Fair.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bethesda.
Isaac. Oh, go on.
I was just gonna say Bethesda giving you choices that actually affect the story. Like it's really good to see. I think Bethesda do it. They're one of the best to do it. And it's nice when you have a game like God of War when there's this great story you can follow, but when there's a story that you can interact with, oh hell yeah. I think I'm gonna go with. I'm not gonna go with the obvious because like otherwise this would be the God of War show.
You can because he's a legitimately good side character. He's a really good number 2. But I mean, I'm not trying to influence you either way.
No, that's fair. I'm gonna go with Midna from Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. So she's like someone that kind of just ends up starts the game by like using you. They're like an exiled princess of the Twilight Realm, as it's called, Twilight Princess. And they think they can like use you for their own betterment. And as the game goes on, it becomes more of like a bond and a friendship. And they actually really do go close together. There's one part of the game, spoiler alert, when you play it, it's followed by a song called Minda's Lament. And it's this really sad song. And the game's very somber. Like, so certain enemies I think get removed and there is a path for you to take. But long story short, Minda's been like defeated, and like her powers are basically gone. And I think at this point in this game, she allows you to do certain actions, attack in certain ways. I'm not sure if you can teleport at this point, but she allows you to do that. She lets you do a lot of good things. But with her, the way she is, you're stuck in wolf form and you're very limited in what you can do. So you do feel like you're nerfed, but at the same time, there's a sense of urgency because you've got to get to somewhere to save her. So instead of being able to go from one point to another by teleporting, you kind of have to run through the map in a way you wouldn't normally, because it's only once, it's not the end of the world. But like as you're doing it, you're like, I really do need to save her. I can't let anything happen. You're more cautious as you go through the map. And you know, you do save her, obviously, and then the game goes on, she gets stronger, you get stronger, and there's a touching moment at the end. And yeah, I think she, even like in a game like Legend of Zelda where no one really talks, well, the main character's mute, other characters come in and talk. It was an interesting way to do it, and I think she was written really well. And you can see her change from the start to the end of the game, facial expressions, her dialogue, and yeah, it was good to see Link actually bond with someone during the game instead of just shout and break pots. So yeah, Minda from Twilight Princess was really enjoyable.
A big part of me really wants to give this to Atreus,
Shocker.
Yeah.
but I'm going to give this to Tails from the Sonic
Okay.
series.
hmm
So it will become clear in my explanation why those two are numbered 1s and 2 in whichever order. But I'm going to give it to Tails because of the bond that he has with Sonic. I think he
Aw.
does his job
Nice.
perfectly,
Aw.
hmm
and I'm assuming Fourth War and all of that stuff. He knows his role. His role is to make sure that Sonic is the big guy. He is number one, and the spotlight is on Sonic. Sonic is a great main character anyway, but as I said earlier, main characters desire the spotlight. It doesn't work if they're not in the spotlight. It just doesn't.
hmm
I think everything he does is to serve Sonic in a positive way. And I guess this is where Atreus and Tails differ, because Atreus is perfect because he snaps back at Kratos. He challenges the number one. And sometimes you do need that. Sometimes when you're playing a game, it can just be like turning the motions, or when you're in work, just copying and pasting spreadsheets onto each other. And sometimes playing the game can be like that. It's just, I know what I'm doing, mental exercise, boring. But like when you get stuff like you're being lambasted and you're being insulted by the person who's supposed to be on your team, that can just wake you up and be like, hold on, who do you think you are? Do you not respect the protagonist? Tails does not do that. But I really like a lot about him. I think he is different to a lot of good examples I gave earlier, where he meshes really well with Sonic. Like their personalities are quite similar. Sonic is very outgoing. I'd call him an extrovert, and Tails is very much introverted. But he makes up in intelligence and his utility of flying, because obviously Sonic cannot. And I think because of that, he adds a very interesting dimension to the entire Sonic universe. And unlike Krillin in like Dragon Ball, I think Tails is important in the Sonic universe. Krillin is important up until the Frieza saga for obvious reasons. But after that, he can die and stay dead, and the series is still going to be as successful as it is.
Sooner you go, the better.
Tails is important. Like, there's a reason why certain characters have been written in and written out of games and on shows, and there is a core cast of maybe 4 or 5 animals on the good team, and Tails is always there, because when you say Sonic, you think of Tails. When you play a Sonic game, it's almost incomplete if you don't have Tails as a sidekick. And even if we're talking about the mechanics of a game, he's great, because in a lot of Sonic games, Tails can't die if you play a Sonic. So Tails can be the fall guy. He can take the hit on a lot of moves, save you your rings, save you your power-ups, and you are still good to fight the mini-boss or the big boss. Tails can also swim, and he can fly. So in his flying, he can also lift you up and fly you across somewhere, which is really useful in places with hazards. So for all of those reasons, it's Tails for me. But who is your favorite number 2? Let us know in the comment section, or reach out to us on Twitter or Instagram, Streamcast_. You can subscribe to us on YouTube right here if you're watching. Please give us a thumbs up if you are watching this on YouTube. youtube.com/Streamcast. Subscribe and tap the bell so you get every video as soon as they go live. You can follow us on Twitch, Streamcast TV. And you can check out our website, thestreamcast.co.uk. We've just put out a new blog. We talked about the 5 games we are most looking forward to in this new season of autumn. We're going to be speaking at the Develop Brighton conference in late October. We have the date confirmed, the 27th of October. So be there or show your support. We'll put a link in the description so you know how you can keep up to date with all of that. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned into this podcast. Make sure you stay tuned for the next one. till then, take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Stay safe, and we'll catch you on the next Streamcast.